Hey guys, well, have a I hope you have a great Christmas, and we're back again on a Tuesday, December 27, because we've this is something we do, and we basically cannot do without. So here we are back again with another. It's a short week, but I think it's we'll make it through, and hopefully, we will continue this then next year, and we'll see you. Kind of hopefully see you again on the the next continuations of your YOML. But today we're on book number 177, and I guess this book it resembles one of our core values. So it's
Does, yeah, sort of. Yeah. I mean, I'll
we'll
introduce it
see,
here.
we'll
So
see.
yeah,
So
yeah,
let Chris introduce the reflections, and let's dive in.
yeah, for sure. Actually, before I do that, you just reminded me of something. When you were saying like we show up because we like it, because it matters, and because
Because
we enjoy
actually we
it.
miss
It's
it.
our
We miss it
yeah,
because
and we miss it,
we
right?
were talking about the weekend, right? We didn't do it, right? And then we on a Monday we have this federal holiday, and everybody's kind of like still trying to get settled down with wherever
Right.
they're at, traveling and all that. And we for me, I miss it. And we want to do that, but that's the thing is, it's something that we do as if we're breathing. So for
Yep.
me, for me anyway, I mean, I can't speak for Chris, but for me, I'm kind of missing when I go too long without talking about our core values and what we do, and we don't work for trains and all this thing. I mean, I love to reassure myself of the core values that I've kind of learned thus far, and I want to
Right.
continue doing that, and it kind of energize me in a way to kind of live life to its fullest.
100%. And the reason I was even bringing that up is, like, it's so funny because you're right. I do miss it. I missed it last night, and even though I was with family for Christmas celebration stuff, and but today, like, it's like you almost become like a junkie a little bit, like for
We
your
are.
for your own values. No, but this is how bad it gets for me sometimes. Is like I'm flying to my wife and I are going to New York City for New Year's Eve, and I'm leaving on Thursday night to head out there, and because of that, I'm known like this is a short week, Christmas, holidays, all this other stuff. There's no tennis, leagues. All of our tennis leagues are like canceled for the week, and I'm
Hmm.
and I'm looking around going, shit, like I gotta leave on Thursday. It's Tuesday night right now. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to play tennis this week if I don't. So I've been texting for the past, like, I just had this realization for like the past hour. I've been texting back and forth with like all of my tennis buddies, going like, yo, hey, can you like skip out of work tomorrow, or like, can we meet up tomorrow night, or like Thursday morning before I take off for a flight or whatever? Try to get my fix in a little bit,
Right.
and I finally, I mean, I had to ping like 8 people. Finally, I found one person that was available to do it in the middle of the day tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I luckily have a flexible work schedule this week because like a lot
Mhm.
of people are kind of like on and off a little bit. But
Right.
I was like, shit, whew, I was like relieved. I was like, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to play tennis all week. Like, and then we're not gonna have it's the same thing of like, when you start to live the reason I was bringing it up is when you start to live your values all the time and things you really care about, like, it becomes like a drug. We talked about that, like the
Right. Right.
molecule of more. It's
Yeah,
like
it is.
it's a good thing though. We're always addicted to stuff, but be addicted to good
I
stuff,
mean, if
and
you,
and
I
it, and it
mean,
matters.
addiction is a two-way street, just like the compound effect, right? It's
Right.
negative or positive, because you can be addicted to having, uh, learning, right?
Right.
Learning
Right.
and exploring. That's a good addiction. To
Yep.
also have addictions of being healthy, being active. That's a good addiction,
Yep.
right? So to me, addiction, everything it's a two-way street, because it's always there's always pros and cons on everything. You can
For
you can
sure.
do something too much or too little, and you can do something is positive or negative. And one of these things is, I think for me, for the past 2.5 years, I feel like I'm fortunate to kind of stumble onto this path, because
Yeah.
I'm, for whatever the mental state I'm in is, I enjoy that mental state.
Mhm.
Whatever this is a mental state that, hey, life is good.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I was just I it you just brought that thought into my head as we were getting ready to kick off here. So, but onto the
Onward.
actual reflection for YOML for the day. So the book that we're going to be talking about is this book called um, the Endurance: Shackleton's Incredible Voyage by the author Alfred Lansing. So if you're not familiar with this book, I don't think you are. One of our core values of Clubany is endure, and I'll get to that in a second. But this book is about this polar expedition that this guy named Ernest Shackleton took his crew on. The book was the boat that he took them out on was called Endurance, and Endurance set sail for Antarctica. Their goal was to try to, I think, to get to the actual South Pole or something like that. And nobody had technically done it yet at this point in time. It was back in 1914 and 1915, and they set out with this like crew of people that they had planned this out, and they got pretty damn close. And all of a sudden, as they were like, I think they were like only like a couple hundred, like maybe like a 100 miles away or so. I can't remember exactly where they got to, but they got pretty damn close to where they were trying to go on the sea. And then they had this like the ice that they were carving through froze up, and it froze their ship into there. And then so all winter long or whatever it was, like they were all hunkered down in their ship, and the ship slowly started to compress by the ice, like slowly but surely. So they had to abandon their ship because the ship got destroyed. Eventually it cracked under the pressure of the ice, continued to form around it. And so they slept on the ice for like, that's when the whole Endurance happened, like the incredible voyage happened. Then it was like, from there, it was just a shit show of them trying to survive in bitter cold and exposed to the elements, and they were sleeping on ice. And eventually they realized they weren't gonna that they had to do something to get the hell out of there. So they hatched a plan where they had a couple of their like, what do you call those boats, that like the lifeboats, I guess, like the shitty little like kind of dinghies, kind of thing, that were not really seaworthy. Shackleton, and he took like himself and one other person, and they crossed like some of the roughest seas of the South Antarctic Sea to try to find this outpost that did have a few people there, because they couldn't radio to anybody. They were completely isolated. They were all going to die. And he like took this insane, like scary trip across like some of the craziest seas ever, and survived. Like they got there, barely, but they got there, and then they were able to bring people back to this little island that they had marooned the whole crew on eventually, as they had been trekking across the ice. And yeah, so they were able to get, I don't know if everybody came home, but like the majority of the crew came home, and they were able to kind of save themselves. So this book is about that ordeal, the Shackleton's incredible voyage, of almost dying and somehow making it back. Ironically, I think he died actually not too many years later when he tried to go back to the he did so. I can't remember how he died. He launched one more expedition into the Antarctic. That's right. And he died of a heart attack in his bunk and died in 1922. So only a few years later, he got the wild bug again. He was like, I'm going to go back and try to do it again, and then he died. But he survived.
He's going to die anyway, regardless whether he went back or not.
Right.
It's a heart attack.
So this journey, exactly. This journey became the stuff of legends, basically, and because they survived and they got back, But anyway, so that's what the book's about. It's pretty haunting tale, to be honest with you. I mean, but it had a good ending because they did survive. So what did this make me think of? Finding the first track as a reflection. I think you probably know where I'm going with this one at this point in time. But at Clubany, one of our core values that True and I don't know if it was the first kind of core value that you and I, connected on. I think it was balance was our first core value that we really connected on. But never quit was the one that I came to you with right after that. And you slowly but surely morphed that into endure, which I agree with now. Now I use endure as well. I've shifted it for many reasons, and we can talk about that later. But long story short, the idea of endurance and human endurance has kind of been an obsession of mine, I would say, for the past almost 3 years now, since I saw my daughter's incredible journey herself. Right. I was front row seats to the most strong and courageous being that I've ever witnessed in my life, and her fight for life and her every day struggling to get past another obstacle, to keep trying, just to exist in this world. And like watching that and watching what she went through, and it makes me think of nothing but questions about like, why do we do it? And like, I'm just obsessed with it at this point in time. I don't understand why humans are able to endure the way they are, why people like Shackleton is able to do what he did, while Amelia is able to do what Amelia does. And I honestly, like, I've thought about this ad nauseum for the past 3 years, and I don't know the answer still. I have no idea. All I know is it's just one of our superpowers. Like, we just adapt and endure. I don't know what it is, and we can talk about it afterwards. But I'd love to get your thoughts as to what, if you have some secret understanding behind why we endure, other than life wants to exist. I mean, that's about as far as I've gotten at this point in time. Either way, this is what we do, and this is a superpower of humanity. And watching Amelia, like I said, like just in her journey, sitting back and being there and being present for that, like, it is something that I will never forget, ever. It is burned into my brain, like her struggle and her fight and everything that she went through. And we've talked about this, but the day after she passed away, the day that she passed away, we got home at like 7 a.m. from the hospital, and just collapsed from exhaustion because we hadn't slept for like 4 to 5 days or something like that. And she, as we were staying up with her as much as we could to try to keep vigilance over her fight, my wife and I, we just passed out, like just from sheer just like exhaustion. And like I will never forget the feeling of waking up. It was probably like noon that day, or like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was actually kind of a nice day out. It was like a late April day, and the weather was actually pretty nice. So the sun was shining and it was really nice out, but like we were just in our bedroom and the shades drawn, and like I couldn't think of anything, literally. Like, I mean, there was not a single thought in my head. Eventually though, the only thought that did pop in my head was Amelia and her ability to endure and fight. And I literally got up that moment, and I was like, I said to myself, and I often say this, so I said this to myself just yesterday, because it was a holiday, and it was a day where I'm like, Chris, just sleep in. And then I look at myself and I ask the question that I always ask, like, what would Amelia do? Amelia fights, Amelia gets up, Amelia endures, Amelia just keeps going, and like there's time to, like, that just is what it is. Like, I mean, I always think of, whenever I have that any concerns about where do I go, like, I just that is the first track that my daughter laid for me, was endure, and just keep fighting, and just keep moving, and just keep going. And I didn't recognize it at the time. I recognize it now after this journey, and I can think back retroactively, and I can, stuff that we've learned along the way. But endure was the first track that she left for me, to explore and to understand. And I will never probably stop trying to figure this out, like in reading stories like this, and understanding other people's endurance and why we do what we do. I don't know that I'll ever answer this question, but I know it's an important question for me, and something that I'll be obsessed with forever, just watching what Amelia went through. So that's the first track, right? The first track was the core value of endure, and it's something that I lean on heavily, all the time. It's the why. It's why I get up every single day. It's why we do what we do. It's why I'm showing up here right now. Like, I could easily just say, like, it's the holidays. I just want to eat with my family, and indulge myself, and watch some stupid Christmas movie with my wife downstairs or whatever. Instead, we're talking right now because we endure. Like, we just keep pushing forward. We keep fighting. So that's that's the first track, and that's the reflection from today. And the question that I posed was, what feats of human endurance have inspired you to keep pushing forward yourself? Or kind of, what's your why, or what are your thoughts on endurance? Love to get your thoughts.
For me, it's like, for up until this point, I have never been more inspired by anyone, more inspired by anyone than Amelia, from your recount of her journey in the book. For me, is when you talking about an inspirations of endurance, I cannot think of anyone more enduring than Amelia herself. And that's a secondhand account from your book, the way you wrote it. And to me, that's when you talk about endurance, I always have the image of Amelia after you took her off of the the machines, and
Yeah.
for her to push forward for longer than anyone can even expect a little baby who has completely, like, her body has completely, like, given out on her, and she's still refusing to give in to that. And beyond, to me, this is the most inspiring image I can ever conjure up. And so to me, the enduring of that, um, to me, is a perfect example of what we mean when we mean enduring. And to me, enduring is one of the top value in company, because to us, enduring is gonna say, like, you have, like, we were talking about from the book, a man with a man search for meaning. He says, Viktor Frankl would say, a man with a why can endure anyhow, right? Can withstand anyhow. And this is what
Right.
we're talking about. And to me, a lot of the I don't know what to call it, the will of a human being, right? What you do and how much you do it, it depends on your mind. Your mind can tell you, say, hey, I can withstand this, or I can't. Just like we're talking about the guy who was able to withstand the Nazi camp. And we're talking about the people is also in the state where they start to smoke the last cigarette. They have given up mentally.
Right.
When they mentally give up, this is when they can't endure anymore. So enduring, to me, it has to go through that switch in your mind. Your mind, either you say, hey, I can do this, you're right. If you say you can't do this, you're also right.
Right.
And the thing is, when you have a core values that that's what you wanted, you can endure. I mean, I don't think there is a limit to how much you can endure, because I just don't see it, right? You either
Right.
get it, or like completely, because the thing is, you're talking about a baby. I mean, she's been fighting for a while, and I mean, her body has been just like shutting down all over the place. And even after you took her off the machine, she refused to give up. For most people, for most other babies, for most other you know pre preemies, right? She lasts like 3 or 4 times,
Right.
right? To me, where do you get that from, right?
I have
It's
no idea.
only it's only from the wanting and the will. That's my theory anyway. The wanting and the will to belong to the lion, the lion pride, right? Whatever, the analogy is, you're the lion, she's a lioness, right? She
Right.
wants to
Right.
belong to this world with you and your wife.
Yeah.
That's why she wants to fight for it. There is a reason. There's a why. Like, to me, she may not completely consciously understand the why, but she knows she has a why, and that's why she did it. And to me, we can learn from that as well. If we understand our why, we understand our core values, and then I think the endurance can be done, because you're talking
Yeah.
about, you look at Shackleton, right? I don't know what's going on in his head, but he has the mindset of, hey, I'm the captain, and I've got him into this predicament. It is my responsibility to get him out. So he went on and did whatever he needed to
Right.
save his passenger and his crew, because that's all about mindset. Because if you say, okay, uh,
Yeah. He should have
things
survived that. I mean, like,
things
there's
went out of my hand,
right.
it is what it is. Smoke his last cigarette, then they died. But the thing is, they
Right.
say, well, I'm the captain, I was responsible. I did not foresee this problem. Yeah, I'm responsible. So he took on his accountability, and he was able to do the daring task of, going, exploring, and figuring out how to get people out of it, regardless of, how dangerous it is. So
Right.
he has made his mind. He set his mind on, say, I'm responsible, therefore I will do what is necessary. So the lesson for me is, like, whenever you have a why, you can endure anyhow. You can withstand anyhow. And to me, that's similar to what we learned from Viktor Frankl, and also in this book as well, to say, hey, how does enduring play a role in our life? And to
Right.
me, having something to fight for, um, in a way, it what's keep me it's what's going to keep me continuing and running. It's going to give me the energy. For whatever reason, it
Yeah.
energized me to think about my why,
It makes
and
you
that
move.
and that would continue to make my feet continue to push forward.
Exactly. That's exactly when I say, what would Amelia do? First off, thank you for saying that about Amelia. And like, this is why you're right, number one. Like, and I really appreciate you saying that, because she is the most courageous person I've ever met in my life, and strongest person I've ever met. But it means a lot to hear that, just because like that's what living for two is all about.
I
Is
mean,
about
you
is
look
about other
at
people
a lot of
understanding her.
people nowadays that didn't have the faculties. They're born with all the faculties. That is like 10 times, 100 times what Amelia got,
Right.
and they can't even say, "Oh, my life sucks," or "I'm depressed." Well, I'm this, I'm that. You look at a baby who's 22 weeks premature, right? She doesn't have all her faculties, and even then, her faculties of her lungs, her heart, and her stomach, and that whatever is being attacked for however long, and the surgery that doctors did on her, even
Multiple
even
three. Yeah.
exactly, even for that, you're talking about, like, what is her weapon? What makes her
I don't
endure
know.
more than anyone, right? She
I
has
don't know.
nothing.
Yeah.
Everything has been taken away from being not having a developed body because it came out premature.
Right.
And then you're talking about the external world is attacking her system, and then the doctors are doing, a bunch of surgery. They cut this, cut that, and do this, do that, and the body is completely damaged. Even after that, and you took her off of the machines, and she's still hanging on, right?
I don't understand. Why do you
To
think
me,
what
to me, to me, what? Give me an example of what more inspiring do you need than that? Like I said,
that life is worth it? I mean,
I cannot think of any other
I can't. I mean,
people, or whatever is more inspiring to me than the image of a little baby who is stacked against her. The odds are stacked against her. For
100%.
her to hang on. I mean, the thing is, to me, I just cannot think of anyone stronger than that baby.
I
Regardless,
can't
if you
either.
look at
I
all
mean,
the
yeah.
heroes, even in the mythology, even that you don't find more inspirational stories than that.
I mean, I can't argue with you, obviously, because I mean this is the image that's burned into my brain every single day that I, like I said, every single day. It's what would Amelia do, and I know exactly what she would do. She you don't even ask. Like, it's not even a question. You get up and you fucking mow, like, and you move, like, you keep going forward. Like, I don't know, I don't care what the problem is we have today. We keep moving forward. Like, I mean, that's it. Like, and I don't know where that comes from. I mean, I seriously, like, I would love to get your thoughts on, like, why do you think that we do that? Like I don't know, and I don't know that we'll ever know. I don't know there is an answer to this, but like,
But like I said,
why do you
for
think that?
me, it's all about the yearning and the wanting, right? You yearn for something, you want something, and you will endure because that's your why. And maybe
But
Amelia is
what is it?
born.
Like, what is it? Like, what did Amelia need or want? That, like, because she's there's that, like, she is, like you said, she may not have cognitively known what she was doing, but she knew,
But
like,
that's
what she was
that's the thing
doing.
is, I'm
Like,
saying is the beaver must dam, right? Because you are born with a certain, uh, I guess, traits, whatever trait that you have, right? You're gonna use it, and she may spell one with one specific trait is to be, to yearn for life, right? To yearn to be part of the pride, right?
right?
To be part of your family. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what she was. I mean, she may not consciously know it, but subconsciously, she was born with that set of DNA that wants to be a part of family, and she wants to live, right? She does exactly what a beaver does. by instinct. Instinct is she
Yeah,
wants to
right,
survive,
right.
right? She wants to survive.
I know.
That's her expressions of herself.
And it's the purest form of I want to survive too, because like there's no motive attached to it other than I just want to survive. Like I mean, like I just want to be here. I don't know why. I mean, but like I just want like
That's the thing is that's
it
what I'm saying is the beaver must stand because you were born with it. You're not saying, hey, a
right.
beaver just don't say, hey, today I'm going to want to
Rationalized
make a
it, you
dam.
know.
No,
Yeah,
see,
right,
I must go build a dam. I mean,
right,
I'm driven to build this dam,
right.
right? I don't think about it. So
Yeah,
you look at a baby, man, she doesn't think about, hey, I'm not going to give up. Her her manifestations of her DNA, of her gene is to want us to survive. And she wants to hang on to the life that she was given. That's instinct,
yeah,
just instinct. And right. And when we become older, like you and I become older, our conscious takes over, but our conscious can actually flip the switch and say, hey, I'll give up or I don't give up. A baby, her conscious hasn't been developed. So her instinct will come, hey, I want to survive.
right.
I'm not gonna give in for anything. Anything. But
Yeah,
when you and I have become conscious of it, we have a secondary brain. It's called
yeah.
forebrain,
We
right?
choose.
That
Yeah, you're right.
forebrain can suppress the decisions of the primitive brain, which is your system one. And so that system is when you get to the conscious level, you have the ability to flip the switch. That means that if because you and I can talk right today, and we are reasoning. That reasoning is going to tell the elephant, which is a system one, elephant to do certain thing, and we consciously, mentally say, "Look, I can't do this. I cannot endure that,
Right,
or I do whatever." That is the switch. The switch is available to your conscious thoughts, and that conscious thought today can use the lessons from the baby because I'm saying like a lot of people for whatever reason they see the social media, the TVs and news or whatever blogs and whatever on the internet, they say, "Hey, my life sucks." What do you
right.
mean your life sucks?
Yeah, you're
I
here.
mean, you live in an age where you have everything at your fingertip. You have the knowledge of the world on your phone in the palm of your hand. You don't have to go through the voyage like because Christopher Columbus did to
Right,
go and find to explore new things. You have all these, and you consuming all these toxic things, whether that's health and information or whatever, and then you telling yourself, hey, life's unfair. To me, this is conscious thought. So the lessons I get out of this endure is to me is very powerful. That motivates me more than most is the image of Amelia being able to be herself as a beaver, and for me to have the capabilities of reasoning and forethought, and to succumb to all these negativities, right? I feel ashamed. I feel
yeah,
utterly
yeah. You're
ashamed of saying,
same
hey,
here.
fuck, this thing didn't go my way. Well, what the hell?
Right.
What the hell are you trying to? I mean, compared to the baby that's trying to hang on to dear life, that's nothing. That's
Yeah,
like a drop in the ocean. And
I'm
so for me to think about me looking at myself and looking at what she did, I feel utterly ashamed.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's the like I said, this is the
It's like,
first
oh,
track.
like
I mean,
you
this is the first thing that I discovered, a few hours after she left. Like I was it was just I'm so glad that she left that because I mean, like I wrote in this reflection, like we could have been I had every right. I have every right to hate my life and to be miserable. My daughter's not here. Like it's awful. Like life sucks. Like this isn't fair. Like I have every right to say that. And I don't think anybody would ever tell me that I'm wrong, like if that was the case, like if that how my life had developed. But like I saw exactly what you're talking about, like the purest form of humanity of like we fight, like we just keep going, like and you don't ever stop and you don't ever give up. That's when I told you never quit, right? And you're like, well, never quit's not really the right answer. Like you can like when you get which I agree now. Like it's just endure. It's keep pushing and keep fighting and like never give up. But
Right, because you say, hey, don't quit being a beaver.
right.
Don't quit being a baby, right? I mean, you have the DNA that manifests, and it must be manifest. It must be expressed. If you don't have that, then a lot of times you don't know who you are, and you're lost. If you're lost, then there's no need to endure. Because if you tell a
Yeah.
beaver to be howling at the moon, well, don't quit doing that. Say, well, what is it?
Right. Right. Yeah. Do you like do what you're here for? You're so right. Like,
Yeah, I mean, when you
and
think about the image of what you and I see. You say, hey,
right.
oh, it's Christmas. I don't want to read no book for an hour. So I
Right.
deserve this, or I deserve, like, what the fuck?
Right.
Deserve
Right.
what?
Right.
Right? Just do you. Just be do what you need to do to be
Right.
you. Right?
Right.
You say, well, why do you need to watch Netflix? Why can you spend 1 hour to exercise? 1 hour
Right.
to read, 1 hour to, do whatever you need to do. Hey, I'm a beaver, right? Or, go talk on a podcast.
Right. Right.
I mean, you saying, hey, I deserve a little, me time. And go watch
Right.
Netflix.
Gotta
What
relax.
for?
Yeah. 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 No, I agree. I mean, like it. I think I know you got to jump too. So I think my final thoughts on this is I think you gave me a good reminder, and this is why we do this, because this gives me another good reminder, is to like my wife and I, like we regularly butt heads, these days about like whatever care for Luca, or like what, like, and I know in the deepest recessions of my brain, like I'm so grateful to be able to like even care for my child, to even have him
Hmm.
here in this world, to be able to have my wife with me, like, but to your point, like we can like
We're missing
three
the
years
point.
ago, right, exactly, 3 years ago, I couldn't even I couldn't even get out of bed, like, and think about, like, what do I even do for the next why do I want to be here, like, now I'm worried
Hmm.
about, like, oh, should I go have this podcast tonight, or should I, like, stay on the couch and eat some food and watch some TV, and be angry at my wife because we were, I don't know,
Hmm.
she had to take care of Luca extra time today, and I got frustrated with her, or whatever. Like, it's such a good reminder of, like, put the shit aside, and like, and keep fighting and pushing, and try to be who you want to be.
Hmm.
And that's all that really matters, right? I mean, right? Like, just what would Amelia do? Just keep pushing.
Right.
It's
Yeah, I
very
mean, if you think about it, if you can always remind yourself of that image, you get really. I mean, I get so pumped. Like, for me to think about her. I mean, she's not my daughter. I have never seen her. I only have seen her through my mind, through the words that you wrote. And even then, that inspired me. So even talking about this tonight, I'm completely pumped right now. It's like there's nothing I can't tackle right now,
right.
right? I can do whatever. I can go, like, run if I wanted to. I can endure anything right now because I've seen that image. It inspired me a lot. Just and I can't imagine how much it inspired you, because you see her
I,
firsthand.
inspiration, I don't know is the right word. It's more of I don't know the word. It's
Like I
not
say,
it's
word
yeah,
cannot
yeah.
accurately describes the image and the feeling that we got.
It's yeah, no, I agree. I think that's good. That's a good place to stop, because I agree. Amelia is more than words can describe for me. So but I appreciate your thoughts, and your comments on this one. I really appreciate it, and thanks for tuning in, and for everybody else out there, like, um what feats of human endurance have inspired you to keep pushing forward. And if Amelia is that person, like, that's great. That's what I'm doing this for. So I'm glad that would be I'm happy to share her with the world, because she is that special. So if you want to learn more, happy to always talk about her. So let me know. And thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Yep. Good night.